James and Caitlin. Connor and Caitlin are two streamlined Tenderians who live on the Fat Controllers Railway, who bring express trains from Knapford to Barrow every day. However, with them being express streamliners, that meant they hadn't really met eye to eye with trucks before. And one engine had seemed to notice this. It's just disgusting, Henry. All the time you'll see these two taking passenger trains. The Fat Controller gives them express permission. Literally. All the time you'll see coaches. Never touch a truck in their life. They never want to damage their pretty pink buffers. Okay, one, I truly do not care about what you're saying right now. And two, James, they're express engines. Express engines are most likely going to be on passenger trains. Don't get me wrong, some goods engines can take express like you and I, but we mainly stick on goods for a reason. Easy for you to say, Henry. You got your turn with the express last month. I never got my turn. And plus, I bet she doesn't even know what a truck looks like. You mean that thing over there, James? Hey, Percy, my good friend! Get away from me. Say, Henry, she'll only now just prove my point. Well, I mean, technically she's not wrong, James. Of course you'd say that, Rosie. Everything you yanks say is backwards over there. Hey, I take offense to that. Alright, that's enough to both of you. I have to keep it to pull in the morning, and I prefer not to have a headache when I wake up. Next morning, things didn't change a bit. James was still complaining. Oh, there you go again, not to damage your pretty pink buffers once again. You know what, James, if it's such a problem, why don't you take my trains today? So James and Caitlin decided to ask their crews, and when they both reluctantly said yes, James got his fire ready and set out for the station. Soon, James arrived at the station to collect his train. He waited with excitement for the guard's whistle. The guard blew his whistle, and James set off with the express train. Meanwhile, at Barrow, Caitlin's having a hard time moving James's trucks out the yard. Oh, come on, you silly things. Just move already, will you? Now, we won't move for giant strawberries, and we won't move for giant raspberries either. Well, that's just plain rude. Well, my. James wasn't really joking when he said you didn't know anything about trucks, was he? Well, like I said before, I've never bought trucks ever in my entire life. Oh, I tell you what, I'll help you, but as far as the yard. So, Fergus coupled up behind the brake van. When the guard blew his whistle, Caitlin and Fergus set off. And as soon as they had reached the main line, Fergus had let go of the train, and Caitlin started puffing away on her own. But trouble was down the line. The signalman had been told about James, and had set the points for Caitlin to go on the sideline. Caitlin was slowly crawling. The trucks had their brakes on. Hold back! Hold back! Hold back! Hold back! They shrieked. Then they brought the train to a stop, just on the points. The signalman saw this and set the signal to red. But James had already passed the signal, and he was still speeding down the line. Luckily, the guard had his head out the window. He saw the red signal, so he applied the brakes. James didn't know what was going on, so he puffed even harder. Him puffing harder suddenly made a loud snap, and the train broke away. It halted gently to a stop. But James didn't. It was too late for what he saw down the line. Brakes! James had put in all his effort to stop, but it was too late. It was a terrible mess. Caitlin raced away to go and get help. Soon the Fat Controller arrived, and he was very cross. For how long you've been on my railway, I will have told you have known not to do this. You are a very naughty engine. Yes, sir, said James quietly. Then the Fat Controller walked away from James and went over to Caitlin. I'm pleased you decide to tackle another different kind of job, Caitlin, but please warn me ahead of time when you do this again. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, said Caitlin. The Fat Controller walked away back to his car. Later that night, all the other engines could talk about were goods trains and passenger trains. James thought they were all being very silly. I say, Caitlin, what will you be taking tomorrow? Probably the express trains. Yeah, James is in no mood to take them anymore now, is he? Shut up, Rosie, you motherfuck! Hey, I know that's not you laughing at me behind you stupid bitch.